One of the most groundbreaking musicals in Broadway history is coming to the historic Palace Theater in Lockport. So I'm joined now by Christopher, Rachel, and Sean to tell us more about how they're cashing in on this production of Rent. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Alrighty, for those who haven't seen the show, which we were just talking about, how this is a very iconic show for Broadway. It kind of opened a lot of doors, paved the way for a lot of people, but also kind of opened up dialogue that wasn't necessarily discussed on stages before. So tell us a little bit more about the story behind the show and the themes it explores in Rent.
I think the show, it's beautifully done. You know, there's friendship, there's love, there's loss, and there's a lot of vulnerability, you know, right in the show. And you take these friends that all come together and share this beautiful friendship and the trials and troubles that happen with it. You add beautiful music. Jonathan Larson did an amazing job, a great story, a great cast, and here we are.
That's right. Okay. So, Sean, you actually toured with this show nationally, right? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So I was in the national tour in 2018 and 2019, and one of the coolest parts about being on tour was that we actually came through Buffalo. So we stopped at Shays for a week. We were part of their season in 2019, and I got to perform on the Shays stage in front of all my family and friends with a show that I love so much.
Yeah, and you're from the Western New York area. You're from Rochester. You went to school in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So tell us what it means to come back and now be performing the show locally and, you know, at something as amazing as the historic Lockport Theater.
Yeah, it's amazing because the show is about community and you know, finding your chosen family, and that's exactly what I've done in Buffalo. Getting to pursue my passion locally now is just such an amazing thing. So I'm grateful for the experience and the opportunity.
Rachel, tell us more about the historic Palace Theater and what makes it an iconic part of our local theater community.
Absolutely. So we opened in 1925, so we celebrated our 100th birthday last year. And the Palace has just been an incubator for the arts for Western New York. We have our Time to Shine program, which starts at kindergarten all the way up through high school. And all of our productions are produced in-house. So we use local college students and people like Sean, and it's just a great community theater.
Christopher, tell us about the process, how that's been for you directing the show and why you chose it.
You know, I've wanted, I think, to do the show for a long time, and I think listening to the music all these years growing up, and I was having a conversation with Sean, and I was like, what do you think? Do you think Buffalo, you know, is ready? And, you know, to do it on a big stage, we have 1,100 seats in the theater, to be able to perform it that way and bring that level of talent and stuff is a wonderful thing. So it's been a dream to direct.
That's right. It is talking about a heavy topic, right? Talk more about, you know, the crisis that we explore in the show.
You know, the AIDS epidemic, you know, that was a huge thing in the 80s and 90s, you know, and so the story talks about that, and it's real, it's raw, you know, and you are seeing death, you are seeing love, you are seeing all of that. And think about from the 90s when this show was written to where we are today, you know, technology and medicine and all of this kind of stuff. It's a beautiful thing. But awareness is key. I think it's you know, if we can present it through performance and performance art, then I think that's a really good educational tool.
Yeah, and you have to think about the context of the show, right? The huge AIDS epidemic was in the 80s into the 90s, and the show came out in the 90s. So it was fresh off of it. It was, you know, a lot of people were scared to talk about it, you know, even having conversation, let alone putting these topics on a stage, bringing light to these people, you know, personifying people as, you know, human beings, exploring love and just, you know, having the human experience while going through such a massive thing. And it is pretty special because we were talking about a lot of people know some huge songs, right? Like Seasons of Love.
Right.
A lot of kids probably know the song, but if they've never seen the show, they have no idea, like, the magnitude that this show had on the arts.
Yeah.
You know, in these stories that each one of these characters portray, they each have their individual story, and I think if we all have that way of just learning that, understanding that, think about where the world would be.
Right,
you know, if we had that opportunity even more.
Absolutely. I remember one of my best friends in high school got to play Angel in a production, and that was during a time where they were really going through a lot in their own personal life and their coming out journey, and so playing that character just meant so much to them and has really helped them through, I think, a really hard time, which is kind of the magical part of the arts, right?
2026, I mean, think about the comfortability of where everybody is, with who they are in this. That's why I love that we can do the show, do it in a big way on a big stage, and just celebrate all that.
Absolutely. How long is the show running for?
So the show's running from it's 2 weeks, the 16th to the 25th. Both weekends. You can visit lockportpalacetheater.org to get your tickets. Visit our box office Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Check us out on social media, Facebook page. That's where there's lots of cast interviews, questions, all that kind of stuff on social media. But 2 weeks, only 2 weeks.
Okay, alrighty. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck with the show.
Thank you.
And viewers, you can get show times and tickets to rent at the Historic Palace Theater by visiting lockportpalacetheater.org. Thanks again for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.